Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live, and hope you're having your vitamin C this morning as we get started. And I say hello to you folks that are coming on. Good morning. I'm just going to turn one more light on here. There we go. A little brighter. Fran, good morning. Mike, Andrea, and Colleen, Rosalinda, and Beth, good morning to you. And Dorita, good morning. Mary Jane, just taking a probiotic. Darlene, Jeanette, from our staff, Zian, and Brenda, and Dorothy, good morning to you. Elaine, Jackie, nice to have you on this morning, Jackie. And Donna, Nellie, dear friends, Claudette, good morning. And Morris from North Bay, Nick from our staff. You guys are wondering whether I make them listen, right? Or watch. John, good morning. Vitamin C, eggs, and bacon, good for you. Kim, good morning. And Timmons, Margaret, Maria, Claudette, and Hazel from St. John's, Newfoundland. And I love Newfoundland. Noella. And C's, good morning. Are you on a cup of coffee? Good for you. Carol, and another Donna, and a Maria. And Fran, and Janet. Good morning to you. Katarina, Jean, Vera from Newfoundland, Terry, IT, and Leslie. I have a daughter named Leslie. Annette, and Sylvie. And Leslie, you were from, hold on, I think I missed that flag up there. Let me just see here. From Australia. Well, good morning to you, Leslie, from Australia. It's probably not good. It's good evening, isn't it? Yes, it is. Okay. Well, guys, we appreciate you very much coming on. And I got to talk to you this morning a little bit about your immune system. Okay. Now, the immune system is complex. Okay. There's a lot of factors to having a good immune system. Yesterday, I did a little bit of a Twitter thing because something bugged me. And it was a physician on Twitter who said that when she goes out in public in a grocery store or whatever, she wears goggles and a mask. And I mean one of these expensive masks. And she's double vaccinated. And I guess this is going to be the rest of her life. So I just sent back a little, I don't know if you guys are, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Twitter. Well, it's just short little sentences. And I sent her a little note on Twitter. She didn't answer it, by the way, but I did send it. And I asked her, I said, Doc, didn't they teach you about the immune system in medical school? How your immune system works? And we're going to repeat and repeat and repeat. Guys, see the world in which you and I live in? It's probably changed forever. I am not optimistic, and I'm not, that we're ever going to get back to what you would call normal. And the reason I'm pessimistic is because for the first time, really, I just don't see the media questioning any of this. It doesn't matter what you think about the origins of the virus and the lockdowns and, the vaccines and all that. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is the lack of information, really. Like, I remember, the media used to be the most skeptical people in the world. Skeptics. I told you I got accepted into journalism, right? And my dad said, no. I wanted to be more of a sports journalist. And I got accepted at Ryerson in 1969, I guess. And my dad said, over my dead body, I'm paying for it. You're going to be a doctor, and I don't want to hear about it. And he was paying, so anyway. But one thing I learned about journalism is they question everything. They are skeptical. When someone says something to them, a good journalist says, oh yeah? Why, when, the 5 W's. Why, when, where, who, what's the other one? They're skeptics. It shocked me. It still shocks me today. That they don't ask enough questions like, okay, let's talk about the origin. Where did it come from? Why are we closing down? Is this the best that we can do? Put children, can't go to school, put a mask on, and you put a mask on, and whatever. Okay, guys, and I don't have to repeat all of this because I want to get at the immune system, but nobody's asking about the immune system. You have a natural immune system. It's built in. And today we're going to talk about, and you probably know most of these things, but it doesn't matter. We'll talk about, okay, for me, how can I, and perhaps the small crowd that you can influence, how can we improve our immune system? Because look, virus already, and the news is terrible because they're so unbelievable, not questioning. Like now, I'm talking about where I live. We have what they're saying is we have a variant. I'm going to give you some secret information, guys. There will always be a variant. And variants, listen to what I'm going to say because this is science. Remember yesterday we talked about let's follow the science, and the science is settled. Well, first of all, science is not ever fully settled. Never. But one thing you learn this, probably in high school, not even in medical school, that when you get a virus, it mutates. The mutation of it is always less. It's not that it evolves. It devolves. That is science 101. It's a devolution. It's not as strong. Now that doesn't mean that you can't make you sick, or I didn't say that. But you learn that in high school, don't you? I can't remember. High school is a long time ago for me. I know we were taught evolution, but when you learn about, you as your body, you're not going to evolve, you're devolving. You're breaking down. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. What's that mean? In a closed system, you're breaking down. You're going to get older. And sometimes we get a little bit better because we get in shape. We eat good and whatever. Oh, I feel better at 50 than I did at 40. Yeah, but let your face know. Because you see this? See my face? Honest. I used to be young. Honest. I think my grandchildren look at me like, Grandpa, you always been a grandpa, weren't you? They don't know me any other way. I've told you the story in the past, playing mini sticks with one of my grandsons. Now, this is, I can't remember, 4 or 5 years ago. One of my grandsons in our rec room. And I showed him a picture of my graduation in 1974. He said, "Who is that, Grandpa?" I said, "That's me." He said, "No, it's not." Because in his mind, he looked at me and he looked at that picture and he said, "No, that's not you, Grandpa. It don't even look like you." I said, "That's me." That's devolution. That is the second law of thermodynamics. So guys, hello. We're always going to, and believe me, if there was no media this time, just let's pretend we lived 100 years ago. With this virus, and I'm not talking about the Spanish flu or anything like that, with this particular one, it would have hardly made headlines. But now you have, I don't know if it's an agenda or, I don't like to, I don't know people's motives. I can surmise, but I don't know. All I know is I've never seen a media that has taken statements from politicians and even our medical officers of health and saying, "Well, that doesn't sound right to me. Let me go and let me go do some investigation. I'm going to ask you some very tough questions." And here's this physician who I happen to see on Twitter saying, from now on, well, she's done it throughout the pandemic, but she says, from now on, I don't care that I've been, jabbed and blah, blah, blah. I wear a mask and I wear goggles. Are you a goalie in the NHL? Like I said to you before, guys, a virus, and maybe you learned this in high school, but you certainly learned it the first day of medical school. If you think goggles, if you think a mask is really going to help that virus, not getting affected or you transmitting that virus, that is the craziest thing I ever heard in my life. And really, when physicians are honest, they say, yeah. Like, you wear a mask, physician, when you're doing surgery. Of course, you spit all over an open wound. But as far as protecting you from a virus, what's that got to do with a virus? It's theater, guys. It's theater. It's to make people feel better about themselves. It's not science. Now, I'm not telling you not to wear it. I didn't say that, please. What I screamed to this doctor was, "Doc, what about your immune system? What do you know about it?" I'm not talking about washing your hands. You want to wash your hands? I'm not telling you not to. Of course you should wash your hands. Not 1,000 times a day, by the way. And don't put those chemicals, because that's not your immune system, guys. You know, when you spray, you go to the grocery and they're spraying everything. Oh, you have no idea how much cancer is coming. Coming to a theater near you. You want to see chemical cancer? I talked to you the other day about sunscreens, taking them off the market because there's, like I've been saying. Remember, I had a radio show for 20 years. I told people, it was always controversial. I said, and I knew I had to be careful. It's on the radio, whatever. I'm not big on sunscreen because of chemistry. You put chemicals and you add heat, never good. You put those sprays, those antiseptic and antibacterial sprays, they're called antibacterial sprays too. Oh, it's going to kill your virus, 99.9% of all viruses. And you get those sprays in everything now. It doesn't do one thing to help your immune system. As a matter of fact, it hurts your immune system. You are killing all your friendly bacteria. And whenever I talk about immune system, even autoimmune, where your immune system is turning on itself, autoimmune, it's so supercharged, it's hypersensitive. It's bacteria. We're made to live with bacteria. That's why I tell people, don't overclean. Don't overclean. Don't be a clean freak. No, I like cleaning, actually, I do. Okay? Comes from my mother. My mother always had a cloth in her hand. Was cleaning. But she, it wasn't chemicals as much. She liked vinegar. Okay? But I want clean too, but I don't want over clean. Don't over clean. The immune system starts with bacteria. You need to have lots of good guys. You want that army bigger than any other army in your body. And you got trillions of bacteria. I talked to a lady yesterday and said, can I give a child, Dr. Martin, your probiotic? I said, yeah, because you ever count to 1 trillion? Want to start? 1. You know how long? I think I read this once. You guys would have to correct me if you know the answer to this, but it seems to me this is years ago. They were at, when I was in high school, by the way, I think we were into, in the 60s, because of the telescopes, we were into, not millions of stars. Like when you look up, okay, at night, without a telescope, apparently, okay, and again, I've never done it. I've never counted, but apparently people have, and they're up to about 200,000 stars that you can see. Okay, that you can see. You get a good telescope, and in the 60s, you could see apparently billions of stars. You know what they're saying today? With what year did the Hubble telescope go up in space? The 80s? Late 80s, I think. The Hubble. You remember that? Well, the Hubble telescope tells us in the 80s, there are at least 6 trillion stars. 6 trillion. And sometimes, like I've got a grandson that like, oh, grandpa, that's billions, that's trillions, and I kind of get a joke out of it, because he exaggerates the numbers. But you're not exaggerating when you talk about 6 trillion stars. Apparently there's more than that. You can't even number them. Imagine. Guys. And then the counting. Apparently, to count to 3 trillion would take you, and again, I'd have to look this up again, but something like 1,000,000 years. 1, let's start. 2, 3. Seriously, you never get there. That's just counting to, guys, you have, when you get on a scale, take 3 pounds off. Isn't that good news? 3 pounds of your body weight is made up of bacteria, 3 pounds. But 3 pounds of bacteria is at least, what are they saying? 30 trillion bacteria? Trillion! Oh, doc, can I take a probiotic with billions? Yeah. Yeah. Don't kill all those good bacteria, because that's the worst thing you could do for your immune system. Don't overclean. Let your kids go and your grandchildren go play in the dirt. Let them get in the mud. And look, I mean, whether it's, right or not, we live in a different world, okay? And kids go to, at least they were going to day school. These day schools, because both parents are working. I think we talked about last night with my family. Like, the world's changed, guys. You want to have a house or whatever. Most parents, like young people today, you need, if they get married, they each got to be working. It's almost, unless you marry a doctor or a lawyer or an Indian chief with lots of money, you need to go to work, right? It's the way it is. You want to buy a house that's, 400, 500,000 or whatever it is. Like, it's hard to get a 100, I remember my first house I bought in 1975. Brand new. $60,000 I paid for it. Brand new. A friend of mine built it. 60, including the lot. 3-bedroom home. But guys, all I'm saying is, you got to take care of your immune system. There'll be other viruses coming. There'll be variants coming. The immune system, it's essential. Primarily, and numero uno, I don't know, it's close, is bacteria. Numero 2, you guys know this, vitamin D, vitamin D, vitamin D. Why isn't this the biggest story in medicine? Viderma. Why isn't the biggest story in medicine? Should be the biggest story in medicine. Because they've shown, if you go to the hospital, if you get sick from the virus, you're in the 80-90% chance that you had low levels of vitamin D. There's nothing as significant as that. You guys, when do you get the flu? Why are we open right now in Ontario? And there's variants. I get it. They're always coming around, whatever. But this is not the flu season. The coronavirus is similar to, as a matter of fact, on the weekend, the CDC says, the Center for Disease Control says, the test can't detect the difference between the flu and COVID-19. It can't. That's why there was no more flu. There was no flu last winter. In Canada, there was what did they say? 4 cases or so of the flu? Where did it go? Well, because the detection, the testing, can't differentiate. That's news. Did you hear about that yesterday? I want to ask you a question though, guys, and maybe just scroll, afterwards when I look. Tell me if you heard that news yesterday. That the PCR testing, I think I even mentioned it. But before that, I mean, like on Sunday or whatever. Guys, that's a huge headline. The test couldn't differentiate. But when it comes to the flu, when it comes to a cold, when it comes to any virus, vitamin D, not C, because a lot of people have that in their head today. If you did a survey on what people know of vitamins, okay, and just did a survey, I've done this before. I'm going to mention something. You mention a vitamin. Immune system. You know what the vast majority of people would say today? Well, it may be less now. But go back 10 years, you know what they'd say? Oh, I take vitamin C when I get a cold. No. Did I say not to take it? No. Because I like my vitamin C too. Okay? Coffee. But the answer really should be vitamin D. I mean, I think I've got 170 studies to prove that. Vitamin D. Your immune system, your body's a human solar panel, and your body especially, okay, I made some notes here on vitamin D and your immune system. You got 4 type of white blood cells, okay? What's the difference between a red blood cell and a white blood cell? Well, a red blood cell carries your oxygen. You guys know that. Hemoglobin. Okay? Hemoglobin. What's that? What is that? It's oxygen. And every time you breathe, your red blood cells, hemoglobin, goes by your lungs, and hemoglobin is like Velcro. Oxygen sticks to it. Do you think you need that? Oh, you can't live without red blood cells. But your white blood cells, and again, that's why I was asking this doctor yesterday, and she didn't answer, but I wanted to just have a little chat. God gave you an immune system. Bacteria, and we've learned so much more in the last, 20, 30 years, and even last 10 years. And I'm always learning about bacteria, guys, on the microbiome. 1. 2, vitamin D. Vitamin D. Because your white blood cells, and here's a little teaching. Okay, here's a little teaching. What is your white blood cells, which is a huge part of your immune system, looking for bacteria and viruses in your bloodstream? They go through your blood. And when you get a leukemia, for example, your white blood cells are immature, and you have no more immune system, even though you have like sometimes gazillions of white blood cells, but they don't work. And that's how you die. You die from a secondary infection, not so much from the cancer. But your white blood cells, guys, that's a huge part of your immune system. Well, here's what we know that you won't hear in mainstream. Your white blood cells, your macrophages, your B cells, your T cells, your monocytes, they need vitamin D. Remember, your T cells, those are your Navy SEALs. They have a little antenna, and they're looking for the sun. Your T cells are looking for the sun. Why would you wear sunscreen? So you don't get any sun. That's how your immune system works. Your B cells, that's more autoimmune, but let me talk about it just for a second. When you have enough vitamin, you know what your B cells are, like your mast cells and that, those are they release histamine. When they see something that's, foreign, like a virus or whatever, that they don't like, they flag it. That's what your B cells do. They say, hey, you're foreign, man. You don't belong in here. You can't come across the border. Guess how B cells work? Probiotics, very important for B cells. And vitamin D. They have a little antenna too. And so when someone has autoimmune disease, because they overreact to everything, their immune system, you don't even make proper antihistamine to block all that histamine from a B cell unless you have vitamin D, unless your levels are optimized. Guys, it is one of the most important discoveries in medicine is vitamin D. They don't even want to talk about it. Our Minister of Health said it was fake news. And nobody pushed back. Where was the media? There was 3 doctors that I saw, 3 or 4, on a news conference in Canada. And they said, look, we're not talking about the vaccine. We're not talking about anything like that. But what we're going to talk to you about is vitamin D. Why aren't we talking about it? Do you know who showed up for the news conference? Although hundreds of thousands of people saw it because of social media. There wasn't one person, one from the Canadian media there. Not one. Not from CBC, not CTV, not Global News, not the National Post, not Sun News, or whatever it was. Nobody was there. 3 doctors. One guy, the head of the University of Guelph in virology, and he was just talking about, he didn't say, don't get the jab. He didn't say anything. All he said is, we ought to be talking about vitamin D because the research is pretty incredible. And guess what, guys? It was buried. It was buried. Your T cells, your monocytes. It did. One of the things vitamin D does too, by the way, it's really important in this virus especially, is it decreases your inflammatory response. So let's say you get a bug, right? You get a virus. Your body goes into, on steroids, it goes into its fever. And now we're going to fight. And man, oh man, there's a lot of inflammation involved. You know what vitamin D does? it lowers it. Because that's what the people die of. They have such an overreaction to the virus, and they get what they call a cytokine storm. What is that? That's a storm where you're overreacting. Vitamin D helps your body not to overreact. It wants you to react. But it keeps that cytokine storm down. Because that's what drowns your lungs. And that's why people were getting on respirators or whatever. Anyway, I don't want to rehash all of it, but I just want to talk to you guys. Your immune system. Get dirty, get sunny. Get dirty, get sunny. One more. Oh no, we better save it. I'm getting too excited. Get dirty. Get bacteria. The ones on your side, make them flourish. And get sunny. Get Viderma. Get Viderma. I don't care what else you do. I don't. It's up to you. You do what you think is right. But get Viderma no matter what. Get dirty no matter what. Get outside. Go stick your hands in the garden. Without gloves. I know you want to wear your gloves. Yeah, well, okay, but then put the dirt on your face then, okay? Get in the muck. Your body wants it. Don't overclean. Are you having fun yet? Are you having fun yet? Okay. You guys have been great. We appreciate it. Appreciate all of you. Okay. Do we continue tomorrow? Maybe, because I got a few other things, but I got some good studies I promised to teach. Oh. I just saw this yesterday, and it got my blood pressure going, okay? It really did. It bugs me. Educated person like that. It just really drove me crazy. Okay. We love you guys. Martin Clinic Facebook private group. Friday's question and answer. Send your questions in. Maybe you have questions about the immune system. You can send those in too. Okay? Whatever it is, we will try and answer it for you. Okay? Love you guys. Talk to you soon.